Is it on the up and up, or is there some recruiting going on here?
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Taco Comfort Solutions.
Yeah, so there's this career and technical educational program here in the state that allows students to move from one district to another if their home district doesn't have the adequate resources for the education that they choose. And guess what? It's a penalty for the local community that you live in. Say you're in Lincoln and you want to go to Johnston. Well, I'm just telling you, Lincoln's going to have to pay for you to go to Johnston. And it, you know, it's kind of like the expense charter schools bring to local districts. But Target 12 has done an excellent investigation here to raise perhaps more questions than answers, but to stimulate the debate as to whether or not there's something shady going on here. And Walt's here to talk about it tonight, and we'll introduce him in just a second. Glad to have you aboard. Thanks very much for tuning in. Lots going on the national scene, no doubt. We have a headline here that says Nancy is ready to deliver the impeachment articles. Why don't we give you an update on what's happening in Washington at press time early this afternoon.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi met with her caucus this morning to go over the next steps on sending the articles of impeachment over to the Senate. Pelosi has yet to reveal the names of impeachment managers who will need approval by a full House vote. The managers will then physically walk over the articles to the Senate and ultimately serve as prosecutors in the trial.
There's a number of members who would be fully qualified to do it.
The chief lawyer for President Trump's defense will be White House counsel Pat Cipollone.
CBS News has learned the trial in the Republican-controlled Senate could begin as early as next Tuesday. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is working on a resolution to lay out the rules for the proceedings.
Senate Republicans discussed avoiding a trial by simply voting to dismiss the article, something President Trump supported in a tweet. But that's unlikely to pass. At least 4 GOP senators say they are open to hearing from witnesses.
I support the Clinton impeachment model, which is a vote on witnesses later. But as to which witnesses I want to hear from and so forth, that's something which I'm open to.
But McConnell says it's not up to the Senate to do the House's job.
House Democrats' case cannot simultaneously be so robust that it was enough to impeach in the first place, but also so weak that the Senate needs to go fishing.
A fair trial has witnesses. A fair trial has relevant documents.
Democrats want to hear from former National Security Advisor John Bolton. A senior White House official confirms the president will invoke executive privilege to block Bolton's testimony.
Which will really be a fly in the ointment. Well, okay, let's get this baby going and let everybody make their chess moves. It seems to me that Romney, Murkowski, Collins, at least, those are 3, are probably mid-trial going to look for witnesses. And whatever is said, whatever is alleged, whatever is defended, whatever discussion goes on in the non-witness part of the trial will probably just add fuel to that fire. So Pelosi has done a good job, I think, in stalling this thing out, highlighting the witness conversation, took it out of the holiday period. Here's the thing. You've got 3 senators running for this thing called the presidency who are going to be jammed up in a trial, just probably cruising through Iowa and New Hampshire. By the way, the Clinton impeachment trial didn't have any witnesses to start either. Things change. So, you know, that's why they play the game, play ball. Speaking of presidential races, this is shady. This is really shady. Come on. So Bernie told Elizabeth that he didn't think a woman could win the presidency. Now, look, he's got some male problems from the last go-around, right? Some bad behavior. Did that permeate from the top? Did he really feel that way? It's a little bit shady, as I say. A year later from the reported meeting that they had together when they first launched their candidacies, when they were sharing each other's thoughts and dreams and perhaps negotiating turf. 3 weeks before Iowa and the day before a debate, which is tonight. Come on, man. I don't know how anybody can avoid being perceived as Stone Age, suggesting that a woman can't win the presidency, especially since Hillary won the popular vote in this last election. So that's called politics and product differentiation and trying to create some space between the two who have a problem. they're in the, as they say, same lane. So stay tuned for that. But a year later, come on, man. State of the state expectations. For those of you watching at 7:30, you probably, well, note that the governor's probably wrapping up. For those of you watching at midnight, she did a few hours ago. We'll have a panel on that conversation tomorrow. Interesting, there's a $200 million deficit that she's got to plug, and you know that she will nibble at little fees and not call them taxes. And there won't be any mainstream tax increases because these days there never are. They're not palatable for anybody. But, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there, just kind of chipping away at our wallets is the way they do it. Here's what the Republicans keep saying, and it's a big mistake. They keep saying, we got to make government smaller. We've got to shorten up these budgets. We got to spend less. Truth is, there's no Republican governor, no Republican legislature that's ever spent less than the year before. Ever. Massachusetts has continued to spend more, but Massachusetts, and by the way, many of you are in Massachusetts, so I consider you part of the family here. Lessons learned in Massachusetts sometimes don't translate over that state line. I don't know why, but Massachusetts has a burgeoning surplus. And the reason is that the fertility of the way they're doing business right now rains down. Rhode Island should stop thinking about shortening up the budget and spending less, maintaining discipline, but putting programs together that offer business retention and business growth that actually produce a healthier economy, which produces surpluses, which produces less stress and a better quality of life, and probably more income to go around. And things like affordable housing that they're going to wring their hands over again this year may just take care of themselves. All right, you know, I think it's pretty easy. You know, when I'm governor, I'll take care of it all. Don't worry about it. Just not sure when. And there you have it. So Walt's going to talk to us about this CTE education thing, but I couldn't help but notice, and Anita told me about this little sexy story. What's going on with this? Woman demands $1 million from East Providence live PD after being televised in a towel. Another Target 12 special here. So she came to the door. What happened? By the way, welcome, pal. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. It was the live PD show in East Providence, and Tim White's working on this right now.
Which was pretty popular, correct?
I guess
people were watching it, right?
Yeah. Worked in Warwick and worked here, and like I said, Tim's working on this. Got the tip. Worked it yesterday. He's working on it right now. I'm not going to say exactly what he's found so far, but it seems like there's definitely a woman who's made this claim, and it sort of opens that whole. All those questions about reality TV, waivers, how it's done, how's the sausage made? Many of us watch it. Now here's a woman who says her privacy potentially violated because they were where the cameras were. The police officer let her know that she was being recorded. But I think a lot of officers do that now with body cams.
Right.
So that's one thing. But she's in a towel. They go there and she's
Was
now,
the show on delay of any kind?
I believe it's an hour delay, but it's. I think that is the case.
So they could have made a quick edit, or they could have done the mosaic thing over her.
Sure, yeah,
right.
I guess. So
was she completely covered?
From what I understand, she's wearing a towel, so I think she's covered as you would
But
imagine.
nothing fell down or anything.
Not that I know of.
Okay, so.
Some tough questions.
Well, that's
it's one of those stories, though. While the headline is, it's a racy headline, but it's facts, straight facts in the headline. That headline could have been way more racy, right? But people look at it because they watch those types of shows, and the word, 1M, I think, is in the headline. So it's money, and the sex appeal part of it. It's interesting.
All right. Well, it's another Target 12 project, and we'll find out.
More to come on that. We promise.
Something tells me that there's a lawyer out there thinking 1/3 of this, pretty good.
Right. If you can prove $1 million in
horror
damages or whatever, that's the hard part always in these cases. Maybe you're hoping for a settlement. I don't know.
Of course, you're hoping for a settlement. I mean, come on. We know how this game is played. All right, so back to camera 1, as they say, or whatever camera number this one is. The issue here is about, as I said at the top, is it just a school choice thing, or is it more than that? Here's the headline on the story of the conversation today, and here's a mini package, and we'll talk more about it next.
Most agree it was a good idea to enhance what career and technical education offers students. If they choose to switch districts for a particular program, the hometown taxpayer money follows them to their new district. That puts a potential burden on some districts if too many students leave. So finances are the focus of one part of this debate. Another point of contention involves sports.
We have schools that are recruiting for athletics and using CTE to do that.
I disagree with the premise that they're choosing schools based on athletics.
And we found 2 districts are attracting the most out-of-town students, and another one is blaming millions in red ink on CTE transfers.
First of all, I think it's great that we've got, what seems to be a growing CTE program.
Absolutely, and I think even the critics would agree with that they would agree it's a great idea. There's a lot of classes that now you can start studying if you know your passion at an early age. You can start studying it. Some of these might lead to jobs. I think the thought is right out of high school, good paying jobs if you're not on the college track, and others lead to college credit, which saves a lot of money for parents.
No doubt. So when we come back, we'll break down what it is that the controversy within. Stay with us. So one more time, here's Walt's full story.
A lawsuit touching on who should pay for a transfer student has been appealed to the state Supreme Court, and lawmakers are also expected to debate this curriculum controversy. Recruiting an out-of-district student to a career and technical program for their athletic ability is not allowed, but a number of critics, including superintendents, insist districts are still doing that. It was one of the points made during this interview with Barry Ritchie, who died a few months after talking with Target 12. Ritchie argued when the money follows the student, the home taxpayer loses.
It all gets down to finances. At the end of the day, it's all about money.
Cheraho filed this lawsuit in 2017, claiming the district should not be required to pay for a student who transferred for CTE. That complaint was dismissed, but is now on the state Supreme Court docket. One claim made in the lawsuit, teacher certification requirements were not being followed by at least one CTE program that, according to Cheraho, did not meet the state definition of career and technical education. Cheraho's CTE director tells us he believes there are multiple programs stretching the definition of CTE.
There are standards that the state provides to the career and technical schools that they have to meet in order to be a career and technical program, and I'm not sure that all of these new programs in the state are meeting those guidance.
A bill proposed last year that would change how CTE is regulated is expected to get another look this year on Smith Hill. The topic came up during a November hearing with West Warwick State Senator and educator Adam Satchel saying this.
This is something that families are exploiting. I think that this is backdoor school choice.
North Kingstown is among the districts attracting far more students than it's losing. Superintendent Philip Auger believes competition is good for school districts and students.
They're shopping around a little bit and trying to get something that is more meaningful to them, and those are all good things.
The Rhode Island Department of Education does not support changing the program, with a spokesperson telling us RIDE firmly believes open enrollment should continue.
Who's suing who?
So in that one case, Cheraho is suing RIDE, or sued RIDE in 2017, case dismissed, but then they appealed it to the Supreme Court.
But they're not suing another district. They're suing the system
suing
for the
the
allowance
system
of this,
for basically claiming, hey, our student went to a particular CTE program at the Met in Providence, and the claim is we have that program. They can do it here, and we're not paying for it. Because we shouldn't have to pay for it. It's not education expenses, according to the lawsuit. And then also there's claims that perhaps some of these programs are put together in a rush, that maybe arts classes might not fit CTE, which is about pathways to the future, pathways to a good paying job. Like, here's the list of classes, and some of them, are, you've got automotive technology, of course, has existed for a while, right? But things like welding and ship fitting might fit in for a job at Electric Boat, or culinary arts, not necessarily a really high paying job. It could get you into the restaurant industry. There's also obviously engineering, biomedical sciences. We're big into that. But for all of those, there are
specifically, who's offering that?
So this is a list, and this is online, by the way, part of Eli's story. That we have a breakdown of what everybody is offering: aquaculture, graphic communications,
Gotcha,
CAD.
okay.
Yeah, so.
All right, and so people who are interested in doing other than just reading, writing, and arithmetic stuff in high school can look this stuff up and see where the opportunities are.
Absolutely, and it allows you to chase your passion, as one superintendent put it
And what
earlier.
are the expenses that go with? I mean, there's a prorated tuition dollar.
That's the whole.
Right?
It's the full boat. The full boat goes with them, and that's sort of the complaint. I'm not
Meaning the full boat of what is established as that district's cost per
Absolutely,
pupil.
yeah. I think in Warwick it's $17,000. Now, Superintendent Thornton would argue, and I think Superintendent Ritchie as well, that I have this program, I have to maintain this program, I have to put the lights on for 20 kids, 25 kids. One of those kids leaves, that portion of their per student that covers the infrastructure goes with them, but I still have my infrastructure. And it's worse perhaps for Cherahoe or any regional CTE program. They were set up in regions so that someone who's near Woonsocket would go to Woonsocket, someone who's near Cherahoe would go to Cherahoe. Well, now that whole building has to be maintained.
By the way, just as a note, in case you were wondering, Superintendent Ritchie had been battling brain cancer at the time that you did the interview, and I know you guys were doing your homework on this Target 12 investigation, and he has passed since. There's no relevance to the story. It's got nothing to do other than he's a very highly respected and beloved superintendent.
And we did check with the family too about that. We just wanted them to know, and we sent them something we don't normally do, but in this case, obviously, we did it. We sent them the sound we were going to use, and his son said, "Oh, he looks great," because they were worried you have good days and bad days. But he was very passionate about it, and now the flip side, obviously, is competition can be good. I think we all agree with that.
Yeah, I
and
hear you.
Pontigansett, which is they've built the best mousetrap, and they're benefiting from it. But their superintendent points out
meaning their school is better.
Their school, the facility is better maintained. It's an old school, by the way. It's, I think, 1960. I was stunned by that. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Yes.
It's in very good shape.
It's also in the middle of absolutely nowhere.
Kids are attracted to it for whatever reason. Yeah. But he was saying Scituate at one point a few years ago, they had 4 dozen kids from Scituate next door coming to Pontigansett. Last year, I think he said there were 17, and then this school year there are, I think, 8 is what he said. So he said that's made Scituate better. Now, of course, I think 6 of those 8 kids from Scituate are on the football team.
Okay.
But
and so
that's another can of worms.
That's the can of worms that might be driving this. We'll talk about that when we come back and stay with us. All right, so there's Phil Thornton, the Warwick School Superintendent in this package. By the way, if you've missed any of this, Target 12 and all of their investigations are online at WPRI.com, which is hardly new news for many of you because so many people go to the website for not only live but Memorex. The athletic aspect of this is intriguing.
Very intriguing, and depending on who you talk to, that's the driving force, according to some, and then according to others, no, it's education and that athletics are just part of the Pontigansett culture and part of the North Kingstown culture. I think both those superintendents, those are sort of the leaders in doing this, if for lack of a better word, best.
So who's alleging athletics is a problem?
We've had a coach emailed us from Burville, claimed that a particular district's, I think he was talking soccer, 5 of the kids were from out of the district. There's complaints about Pontigansett.
And those kids were in a CTE program? They were in.
Well, they used CTE. They transferred to CTE programs within North Kingstown in one case, Pontigansett in another case. A third of Pontigansett's football team is from other districts all over. And, of course, that creates complaints on both sides, not only from maybe a competitive sort of thing, but also from the parents, the hometown parents are saying, hey, Johnny would have started at cornerback. Now he's playing second string to that kid from wherever. And the superintendents say they get that complaint, but superintendents also say they do not recruit for sports. We're told by others, anonymously and directly, that the recruiting absolutely goes on. Barry Ritchie said recruiting goes on. So.
Well, the recruiting then has to go on it has to center from the coaches.
Right. So it is recruiting no matter what. Nobody, I think, you opened this with a question, and the answer was yes to both. I think you said, is it recruiting or above board? It is above board and it is recruiting. It's just that, can I recruit you because you're a really good point guard to my district because we need a point guard? That's where they say, some will say it doesn't happen, others will say it does. Bottom line is, though, a lot of these kids who are using these programs to transfer out of their district, they're playing sports, and they're going to play sports.
It's a really easy remedy. You just need a policy that restricts coaches from communicating.
There is a policy. That policy exists.
Well, then just enforce it.
Well, so here's the thing that we're also told. Maybe it doesn't come from the coach.
All you got to do is suspend one coach or one athletic administrator for the responsibility.
If they did anything wrong.
For the responsibility of it, if they find whatever. The problem is, this is one of those things where, you know how health inspectors, we don't have enough?
Right.
We don't have enough, there's not enough enforcement team of this.
And at the end of the day, you know, the damage is of a personal level, not an education level. It's but I guess that I would be upset if a kid from out of town takes my spot, but then the question is, well, run faster. Work harder. And here's where the recruitment might go.
Stay with the ladder. You and I are old school. Stay with the ladder. You know, what if that kid just moved in? What's the difference?
That's true. The thought would be, though, maybe the kids, let's say I'm a kid from town A, I've gone to town B, I'm playing on this playground in town A, hey, Johnny, come over and play here. So if the kid's recruiting, is that wrong? I'm not saying it goes on. There are suggestions that it does.
Yeah, I think, you know what, have you identified how many of these CTE transfers are athletes?
In particular instances, we know, for example, again, the Pontigansett, not to pick on Pontigansett, great facility. They've done well. Their tax base is solid. It's well managed. They, you know, Superintendent Barnes said they spend 2% a year, I think, on maintaining their infrastructure. That's why it looks good. But they have 33% of their team is from out of the area. So
33%
a third of the player football team. We have half a team here that's out of the area.
Well, the other can of worms here is the school choice. You know, I have always been a fan, not of even as a, look, I've got a lot of fellow Catholic school parents. I wrote a lot of checks, but I've never thought that I need to be reimbursed for that. What I want to see is school choice intra-public, and that's what this is, by the way. This is a form of intra-public, meaning any kid in a public system ought to be able to shop in another school's public system. You know, competition and tightening up your program is nothing that ought to be discounted as not important.
The argument, though, is it's school choice without the legislation to back it up. If we create a program like you're talking about, now maybe Phil Thornton doesn't have to send 17,000 to Pontigansett or North Kingstown. Maybe he sends 12,000, half, whatever that formula is.
What's the moral of the story, or what's the follow-up, though?
The legislature's going to look at it, and there's going to be probably some more quarreling. The graphs are all going up. Phil Thornton's is going up to the tune of, he claims, $2.2 million in spending on transfer students. He's also getting some students in, so it's not a total loss.
Right.
But his graph's going up. The number of kids are going up. It's grown from, I think, 45 programs in a few years ago to now 203. So
Target 12 for all the background. Great work. Thank you. Final word and we can back. So the state of the state will be the subject matter on our conversation tomorrow. Ted and Joe will be here to talk all about it. Yes, we'll have the pollster, we'll have the analyst. I might throw in a thought or two. And we'll talk to you on the radio about it too tomorrow from 3 to 6 on WPRO. Have a great night.